Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
Discuss, challenge, inform, comment, Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe.
Giles Brown.
Live comment and discussion with studio guests. Viewpoint.
It is Tuesday, the 3rd of March. Welcome to Viewpoint, Talk Radio Europe's current affairs programme with a panel of invited guests discussing the issues of the day with you for the next 2 hours. If you want to get your viewpoint across, it can be something local, national or international, or something tells me we might be talking international today, then these are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
But first, before we get stuck into it, let's have a look at the front pages of the papers today. Operation Epic Chaos and Trump very disappointed in Kia seem to be the main stories. So, looking at those front page stories this morning, they go as follows. All of the papers lead on the conflict in the Middle East. Daily Telegraph focuses on Donald Trump's criticism of Sir Keir Starmer for, as he put it, taking far too long to let him strike Iran from British bases. I am very disappointed in Keir, reads the paper's headline. The Daily Mail quotes the Pentagon, which has accused the Prime Minister of hand-wringing and pearl-clutching over the operation. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch says Sir Keir has distanced himself from US actions to placate voters who are swayed by conflicts in the Middle East, not the British national interest, according to the paper. The iPaper notes Sir Keir's response to the criticism, in which he said the UK didn't believe in regime change from the skies. The Times leads on Washington's warning that a big wave of attacks is still to come. The paper quotes an interview Trump gave to the American broadcaster CNN in which he said, "We haven't even started hitting them hard." The Guardian says casualties have been reported in at least 9 countries. Fears grow as Iran conflict spreads across the Middle East, reads its headline. A number of the papers carry a picture of the aftermath of a strike on residential buildings and a police station in central Tehran. It shows people fleeing, surrounded by debris and a burning car. Middle East in flames, says the Daily Mirror. Its front page notes the chaos and fear felt across the region and says plans are being drawn up to evacuate hundreds of thousands of British people stuck there. Financial Times says Iranian strikes on energy sites across the region have triggered fears of a new energy crisis. The paper says the attacks caused the biggest rise in natural gas prices since Russia's invasion of Ukraine 4 years ago. Its headline reads, Iran turns fire on global energy supply. Daily Express says the AA has urged British drivers to avoid panic buying at the pumps, insisting any price rises would take time to show. So, from the top today, the Metro, Operation Epic Chaos. Meanwhile, The Guardian, fears grow as Iran conflict spreads across the Middle East. The Financial Times, Iran turns fire on global energy supply. The Daily Telegraph, I am very disappointed in Keir. They've got an exclusive interview with Trump. Daily Express, Trump is very disappointed in Sir Keir over Iran help. The Starmer and Trump clash on Ayatollah's assassination and war with Iran. Daily Mail, US lambasts hand-wringing, pearl-clutching Starmer as Kemi said he's scared of his own voters. The Sun, in action this day. PM won't hit Iran back. Rift grows with the US president. Meanwhile, the Daily Mirror, chaos and fear. Starmer clashes with Trump and rules out UK forces joining the action. Times, big strike coming, says US. A lot of the papers have got a very dramatic picture as well as the people fleeing a police building that was destroyed in Iran. The Daily Star, it will all be over by Easter. Iran op ends in 5 weeks. And those are your headlines on this Tuesday, the 3rd of March.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
And I've got two guests in the studio today. I'm joined to my left, if you like, or straight to my centre. Let's start with my centre by Andres Gallardo. Good morning to you, Andres.
Good morning, Giles. Good morning.
You're just struggling, man.
I'm struggling with the microphone and the headphones and everything else, but I'm sure I'll be fine.
Yes, indeed. I'm going to be asking you about the Spanish response as well to what's been happening. Yeah, that laugh always makes me slightly concerned. So that as well. And once again, the dulcet tones of Alia Babapule. Good morning to you, Alia.
Good morning, Giles. And the dulcet they are, because I think I've lost my voice.
Well,
never mind. I'll get it back again.
You get it back again with some.
I'll get it back again. Probably shout at someone.
Yes, indeed. So I've got a.
Alia, just smile at the camera.
Just smile at the camera. Right then, looking at... we've already got... I've got a poll running, by the way, on the Talk Radio official Facebook page. I'm saying, are the US attacks on Iran justified? At the moment, 25% of you say yes, 75% of you say no, so let's get some votes in there. And Tommy says, Tommy's asking if Rex isn't on at the moment. He'll be on in a couple of weeks' time, but I'm sure the Rex Leyland fan club is growing apace, but there you go. So yes, he's brilliant according to Tommy. Thank you very much for that. So, panel. Well, as I said before the weekend, I thought we'd be talking about the Labour Party and the Greens and all things to do
simple
with
things.
Sir Keir Starmer and his situation with the UK. Yes, simple things. Thank you. I'm sure. So there's several things that Sir Keir is, but a simple thing is not one of them. However, woke up on Sunday morning and turned on my news feed and went, well, I can't actually repeat what I was going to say. Gosh.
You said actually,
Yes, I said, Alia texted me to say, what are we going to be talking about today on Viewpoint? And it was like, well, there is sort of one, there's one large story breaking, of course. There were a large American aircraft carrier came steaming past Gibraltar sort of a week or 10 days ago. But we thought, okay, they're just doing some sort of, maneuver. They're just moving troops there to make it look, to put pressure on. And then the next thing we know, we wake up and it's all kicked off in Iran. Trump saying that this is the chance for the Iranian people to rise up and get regime change, the Ayatollah, and a considerable number of his entourage killed in the strikes. Obviously, Israel getting involved, also hitting Beirut, Israel taking the opportunity to launch attacks on Hezbollah. Meanwhile, of course, the Iranians strike back, hitting, take your pick. Dubai, Doha, tankers on the Straits of Hormuz. Cyprus gets hit with a drone, Riyadh, Saudi, etc. Who had this on their bingo card, Andres? Oh, sorry, Adi, come on, Adi. Come on, go on.
It's pin a tail on the donkey, isn't it? I just want to read you something because it's really funny. And then guess who said this? Excuse me. Sorry. Reality once again proves that the US is the arch enemy of world peace and the main instigator of instability in the Middle East. By blindly backing Israel's criminal actions, Washington is pushing the entire region to the brink of total and thermonuclear war. The sovereignty of a state cannot be subject to bargaining or to preemptive strikes under absurd pretexts of security. We express firm support and solidarity with Iran. Who said that?
This is a quiz, isn't it?
Blimey, this is a bit early in the morning.
Can you imagine that was the supreme leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un? He said that.
He said that?
He said that. He wrote it in a statement. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but of course, that's part of the interesting axis that we have between Iran, Russia, and North Korea, isn't it?
Of course.
It's not even the gruesome twosome. It's the three powers.
He's saying what actually people are thinking, aren't they?
What are people thinking, Andres?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is so complex, and there's so many ramifications, implications, consequences. It's all really unbelievable. You've got the war itself, the bombing and the retaliation from the Iranians and everything else. You've got the involvement of Arab states in the Gulf who weren't supposed to be involved, but they are now. You've got the price of oil. You have what influence are going to, or what are they going to do in Russia and in China with all these. Then is the ramification to the European Union. What's their position? How are they going to manage the situation, trying to sit on the fence without sitting on the fence? So the complexity of it is so difficult to summarize it in a 2-hour program. We will need all day. I'll try my best, but this is what we have on the table now. The final outcome, we can't say. I mean, if we look back and see similar strikes in countries and what's happened in the aftermath of it, it doesn't look good. You've got Syria or Gaddafi and that kind of situation where the aftermath was worse than the actual strikes themselves. You would think that United States and Israel would have an exit strategy from this situation. And I was convinced until yesterday when I saw the interview with the Defense Secretary, Secretary of War, now it's called. Yeah. And they, on the press conference, they asked him explicitly 2 or 3 times for what was the exit strategy, and he avoided the answer. Whether that was strategic not to say what he, sort of keep it secret, or for 1 minute I thought, they don't know.
No, they don't.
And if they don't know, are we going to have a situation where the chaos follows chaos? And that would be disastrous. I'm hoping there is an exit strategy. I'm hoping that there'll be a situation they can manage after a new government is put in place, whether he's appointed by the council that has been appointed now after the death of the Ayatollah. They follow the constitution, and they appointed a council of 3 people to be, sort of manage the country. There's only a temporary measure, and they will then appoint, if all being well for them, they'll appoint a new leader. And will this leader be able to sort of become friends with the United States and with Israel? But if not, we have chaos again, what it appears now is that if the United States withdraw, it'll be left to the Arab countries to continue with the conflict, which they have entered now. So, a mess.
I like to think of the world as a big paella. You start off with one thing, and then you keep adding to it bit by bit as it goes on. And unfortunately, this is not going to come out something delicious. If you look at what the US have done over all the wars that they have started or got into, they have never finished anything. Iraq, Syria, Libya,
Vietnam
being the first one.
Yeah.
Now they don't have a strategy, I think, to end. It's just their scorched earth sort of principle, which they did in all of them, and then they walked away and they left everybody. And in Iran now, who is the de facto head of it, is coming his son, who is even more radical than the father was. And this is bad.
But the question is, this is all. There are only questions here. We don't have.
No, we don't have
you can't envisage what the future will hold here. The first question is: will the regime, after when the bombs stopped, will they still be in place, or will they be replaced by something else? And this something else, we don't know what it will be.
We don't.
I doubt very much that someone living in America, like the son of the Shah, can manage to have any impact in the real politics inside Iran. So you don't know what's coming behind what it is now, and will they be able to have a kind of meaningful relationship with the United States. So that's all going to be very difficult. And does Israel have a plan for it? And would the Iranians follow the plan from Israel? I doubt it. So, there's, as I said, there's more questions than answers in this the whole thing. And it changes from one day to the next. The whole thing has changed. Like public opinion or media opinion, rather than public opinion, has been shifting from Sunday to today. Unbelievable how everything is shifting so quickly. Where it was all support at the very beginning, now you get splinters, then you start, some media outlets saying, oh, they're against it, and so it's just like evolving news every minute, every day.
Here's the thing, because we were here last year, and when the Americans launched a strike against the, Iranian missile capability, one of the two things they've been saying now to justify this is, one, that they want to stop the Iranians developing nuclear capability, etc. But last year we had this strike on Iran, and we were informed by the Department of War in the States and the President that this was basically, quote unquote, his choice of words included the buzzwords Nagasaki and Hiroshima, with the fact that the capability had been wiped out, and yet here we are again. So that's just one, that the capability wasn't wiped out, and B, the fact that he then says, President Trump then goes to say, this is an opportunity for the Iranian people to rise up and get rid of, the oppressors. We have, if you like, opened this window of opportunity. There you go. That's very easy, but you can't do regime change from the air. We have seen with the repression of the Iranian people who've been demonstrating basically year on year, the savage repressions that we see there is no resistance that can come. There is no civil, there is no organised resistance like you had in perhaps Syria, for example. And the vast Iranian army stroke militia, 1 million strong, plus 3 more they can call on. Iran is a huge country.
Yes, it is.
It's far bigger than an Afghanistan, though it does have the hills to compete with, the mountains to compete with Afghanistan, or even an Iraq. And so, if they're expecting demonstrations of unarmed civilians, we know, because it's been proven before, if anything, this is going to harden the resolve of the Revolutionary Guards, because people have been saying, well, when we take over, those who have done us wrong are going to suffer the consequences. So if you are a member of the Revolutionary Guard, you're going to say, well, we're going to get done anyway, so we might as well put a fight on if it goes. We're going to the lines. 952 78 4000. Good morning, caller, live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
It's Charles in Mallorca.
Morning, Charles.
No one seems to be addressing the most obvious fact that Iran poses no threat to the US whatsoever. The only reason why the US is involved in this is under the behest of Israel, under the behest of Bibi Netanyahu.
Right.
Why is no one addressing that fact? It's so clear, so obvious that Iran poses no threat to the US at all.
In fact, they've never ever attacked other countries, as far as I can remember. Is that correct?
As far as I know, as well.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that was the same thing. That was the same thing, as in Iraq with Saddam Hussein. He did what he did inside his country, but he did not do other things, shall we put it crudely, outside of the country. And yet we have this all sorts of manufactured weapons of mass destruction, etc., being blown into the air. And then it was a full blown escalation of everything on ground, and look what happened and what an awful mess that country is in now. Again, as I say, the US is very clever at going in and starting things, and then you just walk away. They never finish anything they start.
This situation is Iraq Mark II. It's exactly the same ploy, the same kind of lies that for some reason our media repeats. They just bleat out what has been claimed, when they know as well as we do, as well as ordinary people can see, that this is propaganda. completely false propaganda is more to the point. And it is getting us into a very unstable situation. Starmer is now again brought Britain into the situation of an illegal country. Besides assisting Israel in the genocide in Gaza, he's now assisting the US on another illegal war. So much for a rules-based system.
Right. Andreas?
May I disagree with that statement here? Because it's a fact, it's not just a matter of opinion here, that Iran has been the sponsors of terror through proxies like the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, and so on. They are a threat. They are a significant threat. You mentioned Gaza there, but let's not forget the actions of Hamas was what triggered the situation there. So in a roundabout way, I would say that they are as responsible as anyone else for what happened there. So they are a danger to the normal sort of functioning of the Middle East. Something had to be done. Whether the action that has been taken from Sunday is the right action, we'll wait and see. If it works, it will be a work of genius. If it doesn't work, then we can say we have the experience of all the other, like Syria and Kuwait and so on, Iraq, to look back. But at the moment, it is clear, and it's a fact, it's not opinion, that something had to be done with Iran because it couldn't carry on being such a threat in the region and worldwide.
Really, Andreas, do you think that something had to be done like this? I mean, could you not say he's trying to, Trump's gone in there thinking it's going to be like a Venezuela, and all that's happened is it's stirred up, and Israel takes the opportunity to put the boot in, and here we'd heard nothing, we'd had relatively nothing after the horrors of the past couple of years, and now the hornet's nest is well and truly stirred.
I think he well knows that this is not Venezuela, but he perhaps doesn't realise that the change of regime is not something that you could do overnight. It's a long process. If you looked at successful changes of regime throughout history in different parts of the world, let me include Spain in this one, it took the best part of 4 or 5 years to be settled and ready. So,
Charles, what do you think the end? I mean, how do you see this playing out?
Oh, I see it playing out as your lady guest there has stated. It will be a bloody mess, literally a bloody mess.
Yeah,
and America will walk away from it. That's what they'll do. But I'd like to take Andreas up on saying that something has to be done with Iran. Iran, yes, has been supporting the Houthis and Hezbollah and so on, but he's said that Gaza is the result of Gaza's actions. No, it's the result of 75 years of Israeli genocide.
Right. Okay. Well,
that's why they did what they did. Okay, they went into Israel, crossed the border, which was left strangely open. We have to wonder why that happened. But they went in to collect hostages.
Okay.
They collected hostages. So to swap for the hostages, the thousands, not hundreds, thousands of hostages held by Israel in Israeli prisons.
Okay, thank you. But thank you for your call in, Charles. As always, good to have your first call in of the day. 952 78 4000 is the phone number. studio@tre.radio is the email. And
I just want to leave the statement there that I completely disagree with those statements that he made. And thanks for his opinion, but I cannot share that opinion whatsoever.
To the email, to the WhatsApps we go. +34 645 9967 95. Right then, looking at some of the looking at some of the stuff coming in via the WhatsApp. This is from Peter. I'd like to put forward President Eisenhower's farewell speech. I'll have to look that one up. Also, I've been working for somebody in the arms industry. He says they're making a fortune. Yeah, well, they absolutely will. Meanwhile, another one coming in via... Good morning, Giles. Andy in Fuengirola. Good morning to you. Trump just can't keep his big mouth shut. Instead of saying he didn't know how long this war would last, he had to come out with some random number of 4 to 5 weeks, maybe longer. The fact is, he said he'd end the Ukraine war in 24 hours doesn't bode well for his 4 to 5 week prediction for the Iran war. Meanwhile, well said, Charles of Mallorca. The Iran were at the negotiating table. Meanwhile, the good morning to you, Richard. Saying. Richard says, epic chaos. Yeah, chaos and bound to fail like most other Fat Donny wars. Andres again, variety. Well, Andres is variety. You wouldn't sail the USS Gerald Ford 1,000 kilometres for manoeuvres. Well, I would, but that's just beside the point. That's why I'm no good at risk. Death toll in Iran from attacks rises to 787. That's from Tasnim. Thinks that it wasn't unbelievable, it was totally believable and predictable. It's staggering how British conservatism has surrendered its national sovereignty and become part of the MAGA cult. Taking back control now translates as ceding all control. It's genius. Meanwhile, well, some of the 10,000. Thank you very much, Richard. What would I do without you? Quite a lot, probably. Meanwhile, the flight radar says that some repatriation flights have managed to depart the UAE, but most remain cancelled. We can come on to that in a minute. Across the seven major Middle East airports have now exceeded over 12,000 flights. So, yes, indeed. More things coming in on the WhatsApp. I thought this was quite busy. The People's Republic of Manilva. Paul comes in. Question to your guest, Giles. When Hitler was killing millions of Jews before the Second World War, well, wasn't killing millions, but he was starting the campaign, with T2 and whatever. T5, excuse me. Would it have been a legal war to attack Germany to save the Jews? Do your guests care about trying to help women and people of Iran who are murdered for dressing the wrong way or speaking the wrong way? That's Paul. Meanwhile, any administration that kills its own citizens for protesting should be replaced. So when is the current US administration going to be replaced? Indeed. Right, going to my first break and then back with more Viewpoint.
Thank you for listening to Talk Radio Europe.
Viewpoint with Giles Brown.
Always lively, perhaps more lively than normal today. 952-78-4000 is the phone number. Alia.
I just want to say something about Iran as a country, because I don't know if people out there realize how vast it is and how diverse all of the country itself is. I've been 16 times to that beautiful country. Absolutely fell in love with it. The people are superb. Food culture, of course, going back 7,000 years. They are not Arabic.
Don't get me started on Cyrus the Great. I'll be here. I'll get my history.
Well, you can go to Genghis Khan then.
Oh, yes, indeed.
And if you go back they're not Arabic. Yep. They are Zoroastrians, and they've been forced into a regime which is unfortunately been producing radical Islam all the time. But going back, the country itself, if you ever have the chance to go and visit it, do. It is absolutely incredibly beautiful.
And of course, the Americans have got a history of getting involved in Iran, because if 1953-54, the CIA organised the coup to get rid of the democratically because of the oil, etc., etc. And the British were involved with that as too. So that's why.
Another thing is, somebody said to me the other day, well, why, are we getting involved with it, with the USA? The USA... We're all involved with the USA in some kind or another, some form or another. You can't get away from that. As a nation, all of us, France, Germany, Spain, Great Britain, everywhere, we are involved with the USA in a certain level or not, some higher and some lower. But unfortunately, you cannot take them off the table and say... That's it.
Here is the thing, though, okay, panel, because if this has happened, and I mean, here come, from a guy who was on CND marches in the 80s as a teenage with 80s hair going, and thinking that Reagan was, gun happy and triggering the whole bits and pieces. And I can't believe I'm now harking back to the days of Ronald Reagan being the voice of reason. However, whenever the States got involved in a conflict, the European allies would stand fast by him. And it just goes to show the sea change that Trump has sown because of his actions, because of J.D. Vance's speech to European leaders when he said Europe was a decaying civilization, etc. And we were crushing the voices of freedom, etc. And obviously Greenland, to put it mildly, amongst other things. And so European allies aren't standing fast with this in a way that would have happened. I'm thinking of, obviously, the attacks on Libya in the 80s, if you remember those. Stuff coming out of Greenham Common. Starmer saying that the US wouldn't be allowed to those bases. Spain, Andres, have said, thank you, but no thanks. And obviously, American planes leaving Rota and leaving Tarragona.
They want to allow him to refuel here to go to the front line.
They've gone to Ramstein, which is the big
so
German,
they've taken. But I just wanted to follow up on what Alia just said.
Yeah.
You see, the result of these brutal regimes in countries like Iran, which is a beautiful country with beautiful people and lovely culture and everything else, they almost destroy the country. I mean, we see it in Venezuela. Do you think that Venezuela is a bad country? No. It's in the Caribbean. It's an absolutely amazing country.
It's gorgeous.
There has been run to his knees. You've got Cuba as well. And all these regimes, destroyed beautiful countries, The difference is that in this particular case, they're not only destroying their own people and making their own people suffer, but they're posing a threat in the region, a deadly threat, So there you go.
Right, to the lines we go. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Morning, Giles. Peter.
Morning, Peter.
Good morning. It amazes me how people are unable to knit together a picture or put together a puzzle. It's not like it's just happened overnight, is it? We all knew it was coming in some way, shape or form. I didn't think he'd go in quite as quick as he did, but unfortunately, he didn't ring Andreas and brief him on everything that's going to happen.
I know, Peter. That's very remiss of him, isn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah, because anyone... we're talking about the commander-in-chief, the main man in the world, and everybody's trying to second-guess him, and, he didn't say when it was going to end. He has a foreign policy, and that was given to us on day one when he took over. We all know what Trump's trying to do. We spoke about or as they call it now, the Don doctrine.
Yeah.
I've spoken about it before. We got the international north-south trade corridor, which comes down from Russia to Iran. We've got the new Silk Road, or the Belt and Belt and Road, coming from China to Iran, because eventually we want to go into Europe. So it's about the trade routes. It's about about oil, and he can't stand there. Not unlike Alexandria Occasional Cortex. When she was asked a question on foreign policy, she didn't know her ass from her elbow, and she
occasional cortex. Very, yeah. I hadn't heard that one before, Peter, but yeah, that's a good one. Go on.
Well, it is occasional on that woman, isn't it? So she doesn't. They don't have foreign policy. Trump has a foreign policy, and the people around him have a foreign policy, and they're implementing it right now, and we know exactly where it's going and exactly what's going to happen. And Andreas answered his own question. It's any commander worth his salt, anyone, it changes by the minute, by the hour, by the day. So he can't give any of that information, and even if he could, he wouldn't, because he's going to make his enemies privy to that information. So it's ridiculous to try and second-guess him. But if you look at how clever this is, the reason now we all know why they went after Venezuela, but look at it. It took Venezuela, heavy oil, straight into Houston. 20% of the world's oil goes up through the Hormuz Straits. That 20% is now covered by Venezuela. So if it is a difficulty in the Straits, then they got the oil coming in from Venezuela. He's just wiped out the black market of oil immediately. The oil has gone up 10% in the last 2 days, which is relatively low anyway. Normally in these sort of conditions, you'd see it double, or it'd be well up over $100 a barrel, or even pushing $200 a barrel. It's not, and it's going to plummet after this is over. When it's over, we don't know. But when he keeps, you say he keeps changing his mind, he's making them second guess. He's playing 3D chess with them. He can't come out and say what he's going to do, but there'll be reams of people. There'll be in Iran, there'll be undercover groups, there'll be people who've been waiting for this moment, ready to step up to the plate. And it's not America's job to go in and police it. It's America's job to do what they're doing. They've done it. And it's the Middle East job to get on and clean it up. And, there's 10 countries in the world, give or take, with nuclear weapons. We're not afraid of any of them, maybe bar North Korea. Nobody gives a damn that they've got nuclear weapons. They're policing the world. If Iran had nuclear weapons, it wouldn't be a problem unless it's with that regime. So UK have nuclear weapons, but nobody fears the UK, do they? So all this nuclear weapons, it's about the trade routes. And it's what he's done is he's put the marker down now. He's saying to China and Russia, I've taken the black oil off the market. And again, nobody's mentioned about the petrodollar. This is all part of it. This is all changing the world's default currency. And he's saying to China and Russia, do you want to step up? Do you want to take this on? And he's I've said a while, we're in World War III. The difference is we're not fighting it like World War II. But this is what it's about. It's about trade routes. It's about
for those who might think it's purely a tactical move, i.e. bombing a couple of sites in Iran, it's more a strategic move because it's going to take the Iranian oil out. He's already got the Venezuelan oil to cover his proverbial behind. That chokes off all the trade routes going into the Mediterranean, Straits of Hormuz, because that's the standard is Iranian fallback. And we are going, so the only people going to be affected by this are the Europeans, basically. And
where do Europe get their gas from?
Well, mostly. Yeah, from Russia and from other.
Not any longer.
Yeah, exactly.
They get it from the United States of America.
Right. So
where are they going to get? Where are they going to get their oil from now?
Yeah, exactly.
The United States of America.
Yeah. So it's the spheres of influence that you'd be talking about. So we're back to the great game. We're back to the big three, then, aren't we?
Yeah. And in my personal opinion, everybody's good at something. Everybody's got something, and we should all be trading with each other. And trying to force some sort of globalist thing. As I said before, UK done a deal with China. Fantastic. We're going to get a load of rubber ducks, and they're going to produce a load of steel and send all their cars over and destroy Europe. And eventually they'll have the trade route from China all the way through, across Iran into Europe. So it's a long-term thing. And it's the Great Reset, call it what you want. Who's going to win out on this? And I pray it's the West. And I'm absolutely ecstatic that somebody like Trump, and I'm not just saying it's Trump, the people around Trump, the people he's chosen, the people he's listening to, are in the position to be able to act like this. Because God forbid if it was, as I said, AOC or Gavin Newscomb or any of them, we'd be in serious trouble. Imagine Starmer. Without the Trump people out there at the moment, where would we be right now? It's a terrible situation.
Peter, as always, thanks for your call in there.
Thank you.
Interesting viewpoint. 952 4000 is the time coming up to call almost 50 minutes to the hour. Just take a quick break and then we're going to go back to the last, it will be the last 40 minutes of the first half of this morning's Viewpoint.
TRE. Viewpoint with
Giles Brown.
Always live, always lively. Should you wish to get involved with this morning's show, here are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
A quick look at the poll saying, are the US attacks on Iran justified? 20% of you think they are, and 80% of you, strangely enough, think that they are not justified. So get on the poll and please make a comment should you wish. And we'd be happy to hear if that or your viewpoints. Also, looking at some other bits and pieces coming in via the WhatsApps, which say the following. Andres may differ from my opinion, but he hasn't taken into account international law ratified by both the UK and the US. Israel is clearly violating dozens of UN resolutions, and the US and the UK are complicit. Charles in Mallorca is right. We're back to Hamas. Everybody's linking everything back to Hamas. Given the green lights by Netanyahu, blah, 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 blah. The attack in Iran is purely an Israeli campaign for their commercial interests in the region. Iran could change if sanctions were dropped. Good morning. I'd like to ask what qualifies the USA with the president that is dodging, this is from Zoe, dodging the Epstein files and the criminal PM of Israel. Bibi sent his family to the US to keep them safe to decide the fate of a great nation like Iran. Would Trump send his own son, Barron, to the front line? Or would Bibi call his own son from New York to fight for Israel? The latest reports are these runoffs to Germany. At least the Atalaya refused to die in a bunker or run away. I don't think he had much choice, to be honest, by the look of the things. It was like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Until the end, he said, I want to stay with my people. That was Zelensky. I agree with Charles, the previous caller, and I salute the Spanish President Sanchez for refusing Spanish territory to be used in this sham war. Are you saluting Sanchez this morning?
No.
Okay. Why not?
Not at all. But let me just make a point. I'll get into Sanchez in a minute, but let me just make a point regarding Iran. You got three main factors in the Iran situation. One of the factors is the regime and the violence inflicted on their own people. You've got the resources and the access and use of the resources that are of interest to the West, and the third one is a security issue around the region and more. You could even say worldwide. Of the three issues, the one that is the most interest to the United States is the resources and the access to the resources, and cutting the resources that could go towards China, and as Peter said rightly, undercut oils sold to Russia, so almost smuggling the petrol there. So that's the interest of the United States. Israel has got the security issues, which I'm more interested in, which that directly affects them via proxies and via potential nuclear threat from Iran. And I think not even the flotilla are at least interested in what happens to the people there, because no one in Europe has made a claim or a complaint towards the regime for what they're doing to their own people. So, but these are the three main issues. The United States are looking at one of the three, which is why they're acting as they are. Israel are doing the same for their own security, and the third one, which it seems that is the least important, but to me is so important because that will set the future of what happens inside Iran. And what happens inside Iran in the future is almost as important as what's happening now with the bombs. So I wanted just to clarify those points before, if you want to move on to Sanchez.
I just want to go. Somebody said about Eisenhower's farewell speech. Okay, and I found it. The President of the United States for 2 terms, Eisenhower had slowed the push for increased defense spending despite pressures to build more military equipment during the Cold War's arms race. The speech was less than 10 minutes on January the 17th, 1961. He delivers his political farewell to the American people. Those who expected the military leader and hero of World War II to depart his presidency with a nostalgic old soldier speech, like General Douglas MacArthur's, were surprised at his strong warnings about the dangers of the military-industrial complex. He the American military service and the defense industry had expanded a great deal in the 50s. Eisenhower thought this growth was needed to counter the Soviet Union, but it confounded him. He didn't say so explicitly, but his standing as a military leader helped him to get the credibility to stand up to the pressures of this new powerful interest group. He eventually described it as a necessary evil. Quote unquote, a vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But now we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. This conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. This potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. So that was Eisenhower warning about the military-industrial complex. You can argue that because America was grievously unprepared for the Second World War, but its huge industrial might when they turned plowshares into swords was what swung the war with Lend-Lease, of course. However, they've created that particular genie. You can argue that Vietnam, the establishment of the war is again the military-industrial complex. So therefore, they've always had this huge. American presidents have always wielded huge power, and I think that, despite saying that he wasn't going to start forever wars, etc., Americans are acting as what they see as if you like, a peacekeeping role in a way to take out the bad guys. I know everybody's saying this is American imperialism or whatever, but those are these, you could say this is always going to be the aim of the United States. Right then, looking at some of the stuff coming in, you got 6 minutes at the moment of this morning's first half. Rubio, this is from Paul. Morning, Paul. Rubio knows they mucked up on the legality of war, not the actual word mucked, and have been played by Netanyahu. Not sure the following holds water. My best friend is planning to go across the street and punch my neighbour in the face. As this was my best friend, my neighbour will then probably throw a rock through my window after that in retaliation. So I'm going to go ahead and burn my neighbour's house down in a preemptive self-defence, even though the Pentagon may say my neighbour doesn't have any rocks. Okay? Meanwhile, okay, fine, thank you. Meanwhile, okay, lots of stuff coming in from Richard. What about the US? The brutal regime in the US killing people. The UK loves to get involved. Still thinks it's a world player. The brutal regime in the US killing people in Minnesota. 3D chess, my eye. He's playing drafts on a chessboard, more like, and then he's throwing the board and pieces on the floor. Looking at how does Trump suppose the Iranians can rise up without arms? Does he seriously imagine the Iranian, the IRGC, will magically splinter and support an uprising when their entire power and wealth is knitted into the fabric of the regime? As a strategic political thinking, this is the equivalent of astrology. And then he sent me a poll saying that. This is a YouGov poll. Do you support or oppose the military action that the United States has taken against Iran? Strongly support 11, somewhat support 17, somewhat oppose 22, strongly oppose 27, don't know 23. So that's the YouGov poll in the UK. My own humble Facebook poll at the moment still stands at, looking at that one, it stands at 30% of you think the attacks on Iran are justified, 70% think no. Panel.
Absolutely, they are not justified.
Yeah.
As I said before, the US goes in, wanders around, rattles all sorts of sabres, causes chaos everywhere, and then toodles off and does nothing afterwards.
I think differently. I think the justification is there. Whether it's the right course of action to get a good result at the end of it is where I have my doubts. But they've got enough justification to go in there. But we said this before. It's if you've got the military might, you can invade a country, but you can invade a country in days if you got enough tanks.
Well,
but what do you do after with it?
Of course,
if the people that live there, I mean, I was saying these same words about Ukraine. I mean, if Putin went all the way to Kiev and took over the whole of the Ukraine, he would have to live with the certainly high percentage of the population, I wouldn't like to say, but a very high percentage of the population to be against what was happening. So that is the problem, to be able to rule the place where everybody's against you. If the United States goes to Iran and put a puppet government there, and people don't agree with that, it's going to be very difficult for that government to be successful when you have the high percentage of the population against it. So is there a justification to stop the terror that Iran is creating around the region, especially through Hezbollah and what they've done with Hamas and the Houthis and everything else? Yes, there is justification for that, but is the right way is just to go there, bomb the hell out of it, and get out, leaving the mess behind, and a conflict in the Gulf with other Arab countries. So if that's where, if he's successful at the end of it, it's a work of genius. If he's not successful, it's going to leave a big mess behind, and we're going to suffer for that, because all the trade and the oil prices, energy prices and the gas and everything else is going to affect us, all of us, all around the world.
I agree. That's what I meant when I said what I said.
Yeah.
And somebody came on and said, what do we think about the murderous regime looking up and killing women for wearing hijabs and everything? No, it's happening. Look, it's even worse in Afghanistan. I said last time I was on the program, with the niqab, which is a full head to tail. Yeah. Foot. Yeah, well.
Head to toe. Head to toe.
I got my tails and toes mixed up.
Right, okay.
Full covering for women. Now they're insisting that one eye should be closed, and there is only one. Women can only look out of one eye. This is oppression everywhere. It's always oppression of women. I've no idea why men are so frightened of us. We give birth to you all. Have some respect.
952784000. Let's look at some of the WhatsApp. Sorry, 952784000. Right then, looking at some of the. Right, actually, I'm being schooled by the listeners, which is always good fun. Actually, Ayatollah did have a choice. Russia offered him safe passage. His own security wanted him to keep him secure in bunkers, but he refused, saying, "I will only have the same protection my people have." He didn't want to be treated differently. Meanwhile, Ben Hamay was given the option to move to a bunker, but refused, saying that my people cannot. So I also will not cower. Blame the electorate for those price rises. After all, the brainless cult have voted the figure likes of Trump in. One reaped what one sows. Many of the British media siding with Trump on Iran after he said UK troops hung back in Afghanistan. It's pretty astounding and very odd indeed. Right then, we're going to be coming to the end of the first half of what has been, once again, a live and lively viewpoint. If you want to get your viewpoint across...
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
99. Those are the numbers. Right, then going to the national international is at the top of the hour, and then back with the second half of Viewpoint. See you after national and international news.
You're listening to Talk Radio Europe.
Discuss, challenge, inform, comment, Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe.
Giles Brown.
Live comment and discussion with studio guests. Viewpoint
Always live, always lively. Giles Brown with you, with a panel of invited guests on Viewpoint. If you've got something you want to talk about, it can be national, local or international. If somebody's upsetting you with their electric scooters or something, if you want to give a little bit lighter tone or something like that, then these are indeed the numbers to get in touch with us.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
And just looking at the poll at the moment, are the US attacks in Iran justified? At the moment, the poll stands at 33% think the attacks are justified. 67% of you think they are not justified. Looking at also some of the WhatsApps coming in, +34 645 99 67 95, are saying the following. You mentioned that Khamenei chose to have no more protection in his population. Some of you saying, where's Netanyahu? They think that he's in Germany. Meanwhile, Faisal Islam, the political correspondent, is saying that, to be clear, the April price cut on energy cap will go on ahead and domestic consumers will be protected until July. But if the situation around Qatar and Hormuz sustains for several weeks in July, there could be a significant rise on petrol. Calmer heads, a 10% rise in oil, if sustained, would mean several pence on a litre in a fortnight on pump prices. Noticeable, but not a supply shortage. Yes, I know. He's pictured in Israel yesterday, but it's the internet, Richard. They can say he's actually, on an island with Shergar and Elvis or something. Anyway, whatever. I'm not going down that particular thing. Looking at, I'll tell you one thing, an awful lot of people are going to throw their money into gold or silver over the next couple of days. So, yes, 952 78 4000 is the phone number. Somebody I was in a meeting last night, seeing some friends of mine last night, who are well travelled, and they were saying, why Dubai, why Qatar, why are they hitting Saudi, why Cyprus? And I suppose you could say, well, why not? I mean, they're going to lash out. And it's like I drew the parallel. And for those who don't live on the Costa del Sol, this won't mean much to you. But imagine, or put it this way: if Ibiza was suddenly to become an independent republic and decided that they wanted to go against the imperialist ways of Pedro Sanchez. Stop grinning at me like that, Andres. They would, imagine if that happened. The Islamic republics or if the Phoenicians came back, Mayo. By the way, did you know that mayonnaise immigrates from Mallorca? And did you know it's because of? Yeah, you did you?
Mahon.
It's
the town where he.
Yeah, because of the Carthaginian general, brother of Hannibal. Anyway, there you go.
That is your first absolutely normal, insignificant, but
it's my anorak fact. It's my anorak fact.
Giles.
I've got a big thing on Carthage at the moment. But should the Carthaginians take back and decide that they want to have a crack, they would just unleash weaponry towards Benidorm, and that's why. And that's what. I may know, but what I'm saying is the other thing, because the reason they are striking Dubai or Abu Dhabi or whatever is just to say, okay, have it thee. I'll come to you in a minute. I've got a caller on the line so you can argue with this particular point. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Hello, Giles and your panel. How are you doing? Are you okay?
Well, we're still standing at the moment, Jason, and yourself.
I'm fine. I wait in vain to get abducted by aliens. I'll consider it a rescue mission.
Fair enough. Yes, indeed. So,
what I wanted to say is I find the people that break human rights, like the things that are going on in Iran and Saudi Arabia, but they're okay because they're our friends, and maybe Israel, but all over the world, China, people that betray humanity, I find vile, repulsive, and abhorrent. Okay, but also the West is also very hypocritical because we live in a hypocrisy. And what I notice is the West, or Team America with its lapdog UK, right, whose own military is diminished, its navy couldn't find its way out of a tin bathtub with rubber ducks floating in it, that people are warmongering, okay? Why do we go into other countries? We did it in Iraq, Afghanistan, I believe Syria, America, Venezuela. What's the other one that I've missed?
Right, anyway, yeah.
Libya. So the point is, we select and choose which countries we go in. There's normally a political interest, either changing regime. But the point is, who are we to be world police? Who's America to be world police?
Well, they've got the biggest. They've got the biggest militaries, I suppose. That's the line. They've got the biggest what's it in the car park, I suppose, or in the playground, and they want to sort of shake it around at people, Jason, if you pardon the expression.
Yeah, exactly. So we can have nuclear weapons. You can't. Of course, the absurdity is nobody should have nuclear weapons. It's holding a mirror up to civilization itself, which is the disgrace. Nobody should have them. Okay, but the point is, it's a hypocrisy, and the West is no better than the East, and this is the problem. We live in a world where we have our self-righteousness, but we in the West have got a lot to answer for. We often go into these countries, win the war, and not the peace. Look what happened in Afghanistan. All the people that supported the West, we just threw them to the wolves. Yeah. All the airplanes left, and a lot of them got killed and tortured. The same will be in Iran, trying to incite a rebellion, but nobody's going to give two hoots about the people when the 8 million Revolutionary Guard that are still in place regain control. So basically what I'm saying is, I deplore what's happened in Iran. I deplore anything that contravenes humanity, but I am also quite ashamed of the West in the way it conducts its affairs in a very calculated... Nobody gave a damn about Saddam, did they? Because there was nothing in it for us. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. The whole world is just as bad.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you for that. Take a deep breath, and good to hear from you, as always, my friend. 952 78 4000. The thing about the UK, but being the US's lapdog, I don't think you can say that Europe has been the US's lapdog in this one, because it's the only time the Prime Minister sort of got a little bit involved about this is just saying now that we've had strikes on obviously the UK base in Cyprus, brilliant strategic place, of course, but. That is the only reason that the UK can get involved. And again, the UK doesn't have the full, because of the military cutbacks and because of this misguided thing that it was all going to be cyber war and big aircraft carriers were going to, sending mixed messages and actually you need old-fashioned, if you like, you need physical presence which is what the US is kind of saying now. I mean, they've got a huge military they can use. But do you see what I'm getting at here? In terms of Europe is certainly not saying, yeah, America, go for it. Okay, the Germans have said, okay, you can use the bases at Ramstein, which has always been a very important US military base, air base going back. But you have argued the point on this program several times, going to Ukraine and just going, because I don't see why we should be doing this, because it's over there.
It's also Trump has insulted I made a few notes just now. Trump has insulted the UK continuously and slapped tariffs on them, spoken ill of the UK, and we don't bow down to him over an illegal war, but he chucks his toys out of the pram and does a little screaming toddler fit, which he does all the time. He's not with congressional approval. This is the second time he did it. He's always making chaos wherever he goes. He's 8 times now he's caused conflicts in countries which there were none. Nigeria, Venezuela. Look at what's happening in Cuba. It's disaster. Absolutely disaster. All of this to distract from the Epstein files. And I'll keep going on at that because I think I'm right.
Okay. I think she's right.
I do.
Andres?
I don't know about the Epstein files, to be honest. But there's a couple of points that you've mentioned, Giles, there. Is that why are they hitting other Arab countries like Dubai? I mean, let's not forget these are fanatics, religious fanatics, and I can imagine that they're looking at places like Dubai, where they have sold their soul to the West. And
to be honest with you, I can kind of sympathise with them on that one.
Yeah.
given a line of Dubai's next,
but that is just for them. It's just like treason. I imagine they look at it as treason to the faith, and allowing all.
You've seen the memes about influencers fleeing Dubai.
That's why I'm not surprised. Also, some of Bahrain, for instance, where they have military bases, and Iraq, where they have military bases and everything. So they see those countries to be aligned with the United States, and for them they're enemies. So that's what they're hitting that.
And if you imagine if you're sitting in Jordan and all you're seeing is hardware flying over in every direction, thinking, it's all very well shooting down your missiles. Are they going to land on us?
Isn't that the song? Here I am stuck in the middle.
Yes, indeed. We've got a Steelers wheel thing.
On Sunday morning, I didn't realise, and I don't think anybody realised that so quickly that was going to expand to all these other countries.
This is the thing. It's a touch paper. It's a tinderbox, and also, there've been underlying tensions, since forever. So therefore, it's going to escalate. They're going to strike out. This is not a small. This is not in Iraq. This is in Iran. They are entrenched. They've got a functioning infrastructure.
Let's not forget about it. That USA has about 5,000 nuclear weapons.
Oh, somebody just hello, caller. You're live on TRE. We could hear your phone being slammed there. Are you still with us?
No, it's wife loading shopping in the car.
Ah, right.
Yes, it is. It's Charles in Mallorca again.
Charles in Mallorca with your shopping.
Yeah,
I hope you're not panic buying, by the way, and getting toilet roll.
It's all the toilet rolls going out. We've already got messages.
No, we run a very self-sufficient thinker in Mallorca.
Right, okay.
The reason why these other Arab countries why these Arab countries are being targeted is because they host American air bases. It's the air bases that are being targeted, not the country.
Yeah.
They may not be accurate on it. That's another story. But it's the USAF air bases.
Sure.
And now we, as in UK, are could be subject to the same kind of targeting, since we're allowing our air bases to be used against Iran as well.
Fair enough. Thank you for that, Charles. I'm just getting some more bits and pieces coming in, but thank you for the call in there. Good to know you've got your shopping in.
Okay.
Thanks very much. 952784000. Okay, here we go. Dubai is being targeted due to its role in the devaluation of the Iranian rial, and it's where Trump, Kushner and Witkoff's family businesses have had their headquarters. CIA and Mossad have centres there, and Israeli soldiers were sent to Dubai for R&R. Israel is the main security threat in the Middle East. East always has been. Meanwhile, Stephen Ritson has Menorca, not for mayonnaise. Okay, so it's mahonesa. So there you go.
Yeah, good.
Well
corrected, Mr. Ritson.
Yeah, he says the British should take Menorca back. We gave it up to Spain in 1713. Same Treaty of Utrecht that gave us Gibraltar. Let's not even go there. Thank you, Stephen.
Utrecht.
I'll be talking about Gibraltar as well with Myra Azopardi in our next conversation, which won't be this weekend. It'll be the weekend, next Friday after. Morning, caller. You're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Charles, Peter again.
Yes, Peter.
Yeah, as far as congressional approval goes, I keep hearing this all the time. The President of the United States of America could take military action against anybody he wants to, whenever he wants. He doesn't need congressional approval. What the congressional approval, where people are getting mixed up, is he needs the declaration of war.
Yeah.
There is no war. It's military action. He doesn't need that. So he can do this. And if it was to be declared a war, and if it was illegal, he's got 60 days to end it, which I presume would be over by then anyway. So he's breaking no laws, rules, or regulations. And as far as the Constitution's concerned, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to, or what he can do. So
and correct me, because hey, I've been wrong before, Peter, as you know.
I never have.
Of course not. Right. So, but I mean, if it's seen as if it's seen as an imminent threat, and a lot of people have been clutching their pearls, quote unquote, and wringing their hands, saying, "Oh, Iran wasn't a threat." one could argue it would be easy, but had Iran struck, I don't know, a base before this strike. You see what I'm saying here? So you can,
and you've nailed it, Giles, exactly, because it's very difficult to prove the threat. Whether he can say there's a threat, and he can say, I can't tell you at the moment. So again, like I said, he's going to put his cards on the table, is he? But he or whoever. Israel, they consider it a threat. And when someone stands there all day long shouting death to America, only two countries have ever said that.
Yeah.
North Korea and Iran. So, and they say it's a death to Israel and death to America. And so if my neighbour, uses someone else's analogy, if my neighbour is screaming death to me every day across the fence, then I'm going to take them as a threat. And sooner or later, if I hear enough from the other neighbours that something's imminent, I will take action. So, and I don't need the rest of the neighbours' approval to do that. So, again, like I said, your lady on the panel there is getting confused. He doesn't need congressional authorization.
All I can say is that your annual meeting of the Asociación de Vecinos must be very interesting if your neighbours are shouting. But yes, Peter.
Well, and my urbanisation fees are going to go through the roof.
Thanks for the call in, Peter. 952 78 4000. Iran is an absolute distraction from the Epstein files. It's so blatant, it's hilarious. Didn't Trump claim to be a man of peace a while back? Come on. The timing could make it more logical. Meanwhile, thank you for the smiley face. I thought most people knew that Mayo fact. Okay, obviously they didn't, and I didn't because Stephen Richards just corrected me. United States Intelligence Committee continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khomeini has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. That is from the Tulsi Gabbard to the House of Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence in 2025. I'm old enough to remember this. They target the UAE due to proximity and its allegiance to the West. Simple. And so that is what we have at the moment. 33% of you think the attacks on Iran are justified. 67% say they're not. If you want to get involved with that, go to the poll, which is on Talk Radio Europe Official. Quick break and then back with more viewpoints.
Clear, concise, current reporting throughout the day. TRE, your voice in Spain. Viewpoint with Giles Brown.
Yes, indeed. Always live, always lively. Covering all subjects from the current situation in the Middle East through to the Treaty of Utrecht. You can't say we're a broad church. I'm joined in the studio by Andres Gallardo and Alia Babapouli, whose voice has got better it has, which has always got through. Should you wish to bring up something local, international, national, these are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
I've just thought of something, Andres. What's happened to Juan Carlos? Is he?
He's in Abu Dhabi.
Is he now?
He's Abu Dhabi. He hasn't told me how he is.
I don't expecting you personally, Andres.
Yeah, no, but he's in Abu Dhabi.
Can I have the elephant come back?
And funnily enough, there was talk about him. Some people are saying that he should be returning to Spain. He's 88.
Some
now.
People, i.e. Vox.
No, and some people and Partido Popular, they just made a note saying that he should be returning to Spain. He's 88. He's not going to live forever, and he should spend the last years of his life in Spain. And because, funnily enough, he was recognised as a very important figure during the 1981 coup d'etat.
Indeed.
They were trying the coup d'etat. And the papers, there were classified papers that were released last week.
Yeah.
And everyone is in the, throughout the years, they've been saying the king maybe was involved in the background trying to encourage the coup d'etat and everything else. When the papers were released, it happens that they clear the king and they actually recognize the king as the one who actually stopped the coup d'etat.
When I spoke with Tim Parfitt last Wednesday, and here's the thing, Sorry, caller who's calling in. Can you call back because you'll be holding forever. You're calling forever because I'm about to go off on one. Here's the thing. Because when a lot of young people think of cool, a lot of young people will think of millennials and Generation Z, etc. Will think of Juan Carlos I as this Bourbon sort of mistress-taking, elephant-shooting, bumbling so-and-so, all right? But when I came, and, which he has become in his later years, and he is, sent off to Abu Dhabi in disgrace. But when I came over to Spain in, Jurassic Marbella, when dinosaurs ruled the earth in 85, there are statues of King Juan Carlos, and he very much, that was 4 years after the coup attempt, he was very much beloved by the Spanish people because they had been through that period of instability that we had from the death of Franco in 75 to the first elections that took place with Suarez, indeed, and Juan Carlos formed a friendship with the first Spanish Prime Minister Suarez, and that political party no longer, because it was the Central, I can't remember what it was.
UCD.
Yeah.
The Central Democratic
Union. But, it would have been, because, the Franco had groomed Juan Carlos to be a successor in the fascist mode, if you like, in the monarchist mode. Yeah, and so he stood for that. We knew the role he'd played, and obviously, if you think the high watermark of his particular tenure is 92 at Barcelona, the World Fair, the Expo, and also the Felipe, then the young prince, walking and holding the Spanish flag. Wonderful occasion to be Spanish when the whole of Spain was together, I'm rose-tinted binoculars, I'm getting here now, but you'll see where I'm coming to, Anthony.
Yeah. One thing that is clear is that when Franco died, and he inherited from Franco absolute power, he could have easily continued the dictatorship on his name. The first thing, or one of the first things he did, was to relinquish his power to give it to a democratic state. And he was a key figure during the transition from the dictatorship to democracy. He wanted to modernize Spain, and Spain was modernized first in the political arena. So when we were talking before about Iran and Venezuela, the transition from one regime to the next is not done overnight. It just took a few years until it was settled. Don't forget, in 1981, which was 6 years after the death of Franco, they tried to do a coup d'etat, the military, to regain the power that they lost when Franco died, and the king relinquished his powers to Parliament. And there was the constitution in 1978. So all that, really, the stability of the country didn't come till the Socialist Party won the election in 1982. And with the work of Felipe González in 1986, we managed to join the European Common Market. It was known at the time. So all that process done peacefully, mainly peacefully, but of course we had terrorist problems in Spain and everything else. But all that process took the best part of 7 years, if not more, to be settled and established. So when we look at now these situations in Venezuela, in Iran, in Cuba, we find that we're expecting a solution overnight, and it's impossible to do it overnight because the regime has to be dismantled. People have to buy into the new regime. They have to take part of the new regime. So you cannot, sort of change from one to the other. You have to make them part of it.
Right.
So all of it is quite long-winded.
To the lines we go, because of course we're trying to get through. Thank you for holding. Caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Yes, morning, Giles. It's Gary. Morning, panel.
Morning, Gary.
Morning.
How's the shield? How's the Norman helmet? If you'll pardon me, that's not code. And also, how are the shields going? I'm very impressed. See, listeners can't see what you send me. But I was very, being a medievalist myself, I'm only thinking, are you about to sort of strike me with a mitre or a morning star?
I'm actually wearing a suit of armour at the moment, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
The reason I originally called in for, I'll just put on one side. I think the king, the old king, I think he's absolutely brilliant. absolutely. I think all the Spanish should have been proud of him. I've only heard a little few bits what Andreas said, but I want my king to be different from me. I don't want my king sitting next to me in a pub. I want him to have lots of money and enjoying his life. That's what being the king. It's good to be the king.
It's great to be king. That was Mel Brooks' history.
Mel Brooks, good to be the king. Yes. And I remember, and I believe the tanks were actually out on the streets of Valencia. The wonderful Stephen Ritson may or may not confirm that, but I was actually landing that day in Mallorca with armed...
As a part of an elite force, Gary? I can see you now parachuting in.
No,
like the Queen.
No.
When you said that, Gary, I know you,
I'll just, yeah. Well, thanks for that. That blew me up. I'll go now. I'll go now when the going's good. So,
you enjoy your day.
There's an old, and I like bourbon biscuits as well. There's a moral there somewhere, but there's an old saying that necessity has no rules, laws, or guidelines. And we in the West, and someone made the comment that the West is bad than the East. If it's that bad, why is it so many people from the East want to come to the West? But we cannot allow the West, we cannot allow that area, a strategic area, one of the biggest, if not the most strategic area, to be taken over by a foreign regime. Now, we know Israel is for bad. I don't see any good at the moment. I'll say it out loud. What Israel is committing now is genocide. We all know that. Only a fool would say otherwise. My military history studies, all my life, going on over 50 years, says that, points to that. But having said that, they've got the ear of the strongest and our best friends in the world. We cannot allow, and I love the bleeding hearts calling in and making comments. I hope these people's not driving cars and using petrol and oil products, etc. But what's happening in the Middle East... What's happening in the Middle East is exactly what happened in the medieval ages in Europe. They're hundreds of years behind us in the Middle East. Now, you've got to know your history and you've got to be self-critical of yourself. We know that the British and the French has caused a lot of problems in that area because they're all false states. They're all... no one's factored in the religious aspects of this. Someone said, why are they... Frank Gardner, the BBC's security correspondent, done a brilliant précis of it yesterday.
Okay.
There's more reasons. There's not so many bases there, and there is limitations on the surrounding countries around Iran. But we know Iran has been a threat. Someone called in or a comment was made on WhatsApp. We know they're sponsors of terrorism, but that's their form of terrorism. We've got our form of terrorism. I think it was Peter that said about World War III. We've been at war for years. No one ever discusses what America had done to the Russian pipelines in deepest Russia a number of years ago, where they sabotaged their infrastructure. No one hears about that. Right. And if anyone thinks that the British are not involved inside Iran now, then they're some sort of fool.
Right.
But what Trump is doing is obviously someone has his ear. Tactically, strategically, is that he's sending out warnings to the back via the back channels. He's sending out warnings to China, etc.
Okay.
The only thing is, thank God Kamala Harris didn't get voted in, or the likes of Biden was still not in power. But,
I'm still getting the fact of you landing in Mallorca, Gary. But thank you very much for your call in there, my friend.
And I did have a large sombrero at the time rather than a helmet. Well, you're going to have to explain the helmet.
All right. I'm not even going to go there, Gary. Thanks for the call in. 952-784-1000. Russia's Putin holding call with Hungary's Orban. That's from the RIA. It's God's fault. Now we know. Absolutely. When in doubt, blame God. I'm surprised the phone lines haven't been cut. Still scarce mention of in the MSN. This is something else coming in from somebody else. More than 160 innocent young girls who were killed in the US-Israeli bombing of a primary school in Iran. Well, I've sold out on the BBC. You don't get much more mainstream media than the BBC. And the Americans will say collateral damage, but yeah. I mean, this is
this is coming from the so-called leader of the Board of Peace, which is a farce anyway. And they go and kill the children.
It's God. This will get Dave going. It's God's fault the world isn't more peaceful. Okay? When in doubt, When in doubt, blame the Almighty. That's what I say. Quick break and then back with more Viewpoint.
Talk Radio Europe. Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe with Giles Brown.
Always live. Into the last 21 minutes of this morning's Viewpoint. Good grief, Steve.
But no, it went fast.
I know. So it's always when you're having, time flies when you're having fun or something like that. If you want to get involved with this morning's Viewpoint.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
I'm joined in the studio by Andres Gallardo and the lovely Alia Babapule. Interesting here that TRE radio is similar to Reuters, thank you very much, when the words genocide and Palestine are censored. So therefore, you can't call in on this number. You cannot call in on this particular number, i.e. +34 645 99 67 95. It's WhatsApp only. But to the lines we go one more time. Morning caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's the Viewpoint, please?
Charles, Peter again.
Yes, Peter.
On a lighter note,
okay.
I'll sign off in a moment. So the most shocking thing I've heard today. Lighter and shocking doesn't go in the same sentence, bit of an oxymoron. But when you said that you were at Greenham Common in the 80s,
I was flapping around. I transgendered. Obviously, I was one of the women.
Well, obviously that shocked me. I was surprised you didn't meet the mother-in-law and reclaiming the night. But around the same time, I was working at Aldermaston on the nuclear facilities there. I was a scaffolder there. For very, very good money, and it's only 6-7 kilometres from there. Drove past there an awful lot. So if ever you had a 3-day-old ham sandwich launched at you out of a car, you'll know who it was.
I've been once. That's
and I should imagine you had more than one.
Indeed. All right, Peter. Thank you for that.
Cheers.
Thank you. Small world, but you wouldn't want to paint it, as the saying goes. Looking at the, I wondered where that. Well, it was good aim, Peter. I'll give you that much. Looking at the panels. Excuse me. The poll. Talk Radio Europe Official. We're asking: is the US attack on Iran justified? It's been fluctuating a little bit, but it's still yes. 30% of you think it is, which means 70% of you think no. US Defense Secretary or Secretary of War Hesketh comes out saying we didn't start this war.
Well, of course they bloody did.
Okay, thank you, Talia. Thank you, Alia. That is the answer we wanted. The voice of common sense. This is what they're saying now. I mean, in one saying it's not going to be a forever war. I don't think it's going to be a forever war. But then again, Trump says they have the capacity to keep this war going forever.
Ukraine, he was going to stop the war in Ukraine in one day, 24 hours. What is it, 4 years?
It just had the 4th year anniversary.
Exactly, those poor people.
Andres. It's only reasonable to think that they would have sort of consider the length of the war in terms of the munition available to them,
right.
And a prospective sort of analysis of what the enemy has got in terms of ammunition and how long that could last. I mean, I'm hoping that is the case.
Well, because
if they haven't assessed that, and I doubt very much that they haven't, but if they hadn't assessed that, we could be here for another lengthy war like the Ukrainian war. And that would be devastating because the Ukrainian war, in terms of the effect that it's had in the rest of the world, is somehow contained. But this one, it's going to be impossible to contain the ramifications of it. So,
just going to some of the WhatsApps, +34 645 99 67 95. Good morning to Alan in Torre Azul. Good morning. Good morning to you. I'm totally opposed to the action taken by America and Israel. I think the whole object is simply to try and make Trump look good to the voters before the midterms. Just as the so-called attempt on his life during the general election. Yes. Don't get me started on that one. Never has there been a president so openly corrupt and self-serving. Trump is a danger to the well-being of the planet. So, meanwhile, showing that I should...
This is an interesting comment about his own electorate, because he was the one who in campaign said, I'm not going to just go there onto war after war and being the police of the world and everything else.
But he has.
But he has done that. And I think that is having today an effect on his electorate who see that as treason to what he said during campaign. And he's got the midterm elections in November, and that will be proof to see whether he's got the backup of his own people. At the
moment, they've said six American casualties. I met up with a friend yesterday who's been very heavily involved in that particular area and has worked on the bases there. And he said, looking around the pictures that he'd been sending, he's had 400, he said, videos sent to him by personnel friends. So it's not the stuff that's coming in via the MSM, etc., etc. He said that looking at some of the places that they hit he recognised those from his dealings in the area and thought that there are more casualties in the States than they're admitting. But because of the role of the personnel that was struck, they can't say these people are there. So that's to begin with. If body bags start arriving on regular basis back to Delaware, which is where the repatriation flights come, then that's going to have an effect, because nothing upsets the Americans more than coffins draped in the stars and stripes.
But I don't think they'll be able to hide the bodies,
somebody will get it out. Even if they do try, somebody will be there filming it and put it out on video.
If that is correct, and there are more bodies, more casualties, that will come out sooner or later, and that will have an impact on his own electorate. I'd like to think, but obviously you don't know. But midterm is around the corner, and this is getting close to a situation where he could lose a lot of his backing back home.
Right. Unless he gets Elon Musk to do what he did last time as well, which was interfere in the elections.
Allegedly. Meanwhile, looking at this is the reason why you shouldn't be following me for any financial advice or indeed forex trading, because I was just saying, get involved with gold and silver. So spot gold falls to over 1% to 5,225 roughly an ounce. Spot silver extends losses, falls over 8%. So yes, if you're following me for financial advice, then don't, basically, as the accounts department will tell you. Right then, to the lines we go. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Calling from Benel Manor, it's Alf.
Morning, Alf.
Hi, Giles. Hi, panel. You have to say panel. According to
Dresenalia. This is the 18.
Alf,
we've got the AAA.
AAA, yeah. Well, there you go.
There you go. What's on your mind, Alf?
Top team. No, nothing really. I'm just surprised. Well, I'm fascinated by Viewpoint and the people who ring in. More importantly, the people who don't ring in. So I don't want to provoke your show, but...
Please don't. It was going so well, Alf. Please don't start poking the sleeping ones.
Okay, where's Gil? Where's Richard? I would love to have heard from Richard. I mean, he knows so much about the region and what's going on. It would have been nice to hear firsthand, from people who really are associated with Iran and the whole of the Middle East and knowing what it's like. And the idea, I mean, I'm not quite sure people actually listen to what's going on. I don't care if it's the normal media, Sky News, BBC, whatever. But Iran made it quite clear, if you attack us, we're going to turn this into a conflict across the Middle East. So there's no justification that they require to say, this is why we're bombing Bahrain, this is why we're bombing Oman, this is why we're bombing... Just to accept the fact that they want to spread this war as far as they can. They want to create as much havoc as they can, because that's effectively what they've got left. And one of the pertinent things that was said, I thought was quite clear, is because the presumably Israeli intelligence in the main is so good at pinpointing where all the missiles are and where the stockholes are and where this is and where that is, that they know, the Iranians know, if they don't launch all their missiles soon, they will be wiped out. And I don't know how many times they've shown on the television missile sites being hit with the missiles still in place. So, they don't have to justify anything that they're doing because they warned everybody. And I'm surprised that people are surprised that this was never going to happen. Of course it was going to happen. And I genuinely, if people think that Thatcher went to war over the Falklands because there was an election coming up and she needed to get elected, if they really genuinely think that Trump is going in and doing this because of the midterms and how bad he's doing in the... what absolute utter nonsense. That's not how real people think.
But Alf, that's how politics operates. I mean, he's doing it as a deflection, surely.
That's the same as saying, he's doing all this because of the Epstein files.
No, right, so...
What a pile of nonsense. Whatever he does now ain't going to stop people talking about the Epstein files in a month's time.
Have we become wiser then? Because we got this. Because, okay, I'm not saying, listen, I absolutely do not believe that Margaret, the Blessed Thatcher, started a war because she's doing but it didn't. It helped, obviously, united the country because we all remember.
The outcome helped.
The outcome helped, exactly.
Helped because she came across as being the big Iron.
The Iron Lady, etc. And it was all, I remember people reading the MP, and Thatcher and the whole, and Reagan, whatever. Had it gone disastrously wrong, then who knows? Had the task force been wiped out by French missiles before they even got to the... Anyway, let's not go there. But...
No, they would never have.
Okay, fine.
They were post office ships that took most of the stuff over.
Yeah,
so they were immune because they were delivering the mail.
We got the post office in there. Right, so... But the
they were delivering the mail.
Yeah, right, fine. So, but the other thing is that are we political... And this will get me thinking, because there are so many outlets, legal, mainstream media, legacy media, citizen media, you name it, social media, and so therefore something you cannot, if you like, bury a story like Epstein or whatever else, your Illuminatis or 12-foot subterranean hamsters called Nigel running the world, because it'll get out now. And so therefore you can say this is going on. He just wants to make it look, he wants to look strong because he's getting battered by his own people in the thing. And this might be that, when in doubt, get the big shiny thing out, steady at the back, Gary, but get the big shiny thing out and wave it around a bit, and it will soon deflect your enemies.
No, seriously, I don't. I've been involved in politics all my life, and I've never, they don't start wars in order to win elections. Winston Churchill didn't do what he did in the Second World War in order to lose the election after the Second World War. People don't. It doesn't happen like that. That is real conspiracy theory nonsense. What you've got to look at is what is happening. There was a threat.
Yeah.
Now, it's a judgmental thing that says, was the threat sufficient for Trump to do what he's done, i.e. go and bomb Iran? Was the threat sufficient? And I listen to all these people who go, well, the guy from wherever he's, one of the islands, who says, oh no, Iran's never been a threat to anybody. It's kind of, really? What absolute nonsense. They used them. That's like saying that Russia was never a threat in the Cold War.
Yeah.
And they didn't have spies.
All right.
And they don't poison people in the UK. And China ain't on the back of this.
Got some more calls coming in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, come on. Get back to some sensible stuff instead of the conspiracy theory rubbish.
Right.
They didn't do this because of the midterm elections, that's for certain.
Okay. All right, that's your viewpoint. I want to get some more calls in, but thank you very much. But good to hear from you.
See you later, gang.
See you later, gang.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Say goodbye, Andres.
Bye.
There you go. Had to wake him up.
He was reading the script.
Exactly, reading the script. Thanks very much, Alf, indeed. 9527844,000. Morning call, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Yes, Giles, it's Gary here again.
Hello, Gary.
Just in a bit of historical context, back in, I think it was 1978, when David Owen was the Foreign Secretary, he sent 2 destroyers down to the Falklands and deterred an attack on the Falklands. So some people pro-Labour are saying that he done it quietly, what Maggie Thatcher has done it, in a more aggressive way. And secondly, it's just popped into my head with regards to the coup d'etat or attempted coup d'etat in Spain. If you go back in history, the heads of the armed forces, though it's been denied, there's enough evidence for it. The head of the British Armed Forces approached Mountbatten in 1974 and hinted about having a coup d'etat against the Wilson government.
Yes, indeed. That's very... Yes, I concur with you on that, Gary. The very British coup, etc.
Yes, again, so it's an old adage. You should always look in the past to look into the future. But there you go.
Indeed. Thank you very much indeed, and obviously there you go. So Cyrus the Great actually did. Alexander the Great invaded Persia because he had a bad Mori pole. Ali, you're looking at me like you'd look at something that you've just trodden on in or around.
No, I was just musing. Because
are you musing?
I'm musing.
That's your musing. We've got 5 minutes, by the way, listeners. We're getting light. I think we're leating up a bit.
My chair's not squeaking today.
No, I know. We had it specially. Exactly.
That's really kind of you. I was just musing about all of this.
Some mayonnaise on it, because that's what we're discovering, isn't it? Isn't that right? Because gin flavoured mayonnaise under this.
Gin flavoured mayonnaise.
We've got 4 minutes, so we can whitter now.
Nothing to do with what we're discussing.
No, but you talked about.
This is what my musing was all about. The actual eco warrior of all time was Genghis Khan.
Pray expand on your theory here, Miss Babapule.
He went through the whole of the Middle East and most of Asia. Got rid of everybody who we didn't like, and the whole countries flourished and became really green, which has got nothing to do whatsoever with our talk, but it just popped into my head.
Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan.
As a cleaning agent.
Genghis Khan.
Yes. You start at the Urals. It's all downhill, and we'll just stop.
Straight through.
Straight through.
Everywhere it went, he eliminated most of the people, and the whole of the earth came back. And it's got nothing to do with what we've been discussing.
Tamerlane did the same thing, but did it on one leg. So there you go.
Well, there we are.
That's why, hence his name. But, it was a bit true. It's a true story. 24 years, didn't lose a battle, was paralysed down one side. Tamerlane, that's hence the name.
Was Tamerlane before or after Genghis Khan?
Tamerlane was before the Khan.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
So, therefore.
Okay.
You're looking, there you go. Now, tell us about the gin. Come on, I know you've been, because you can't get me on my...
Richard was absolutely right to say in the Treaty of Utrecht, the British got Gibraltar, but for a time, they also got Menorca. And he was right to say the mayonnaise come from Mahon, and Mahon is in Menorca, not in Mallorca, so good correction there. But another thing was that during the time when the British were there, they developed the Menorcan gin, which to this day you still can... I believe you still can buy it, the Menorcan gin, quite famous around here. I don't know if it's any good.
I think Rex was in Menorca, and I think he was waxing lyrical. Rex Leyland, our man on the waters, not on the water, he means on the gin, but he was waxing lyrical about the provenance, the standard, the eye-wateringly good quality of the aforementioned gin.
Yeah, well, that's what the legacy of the British occupation, I should say. Would I say occupation?
No.
After signing it in the Treaty of Utrecht.
The benevolent governance of the Great British Empire.
Yes, well, that's what they left behind, was gin.
So, and the Carthaginians, again, my favourite people at the moment, were the people who invented mayonnaise. So, therefore, imagine that. No. So next time you're, asked for mayo, just thank Hannibal's brother, Hannibal Barker's brother.
I shall thank them.
Hannibal Hasbro
when I eat mayonnaise, which is rarely.
Exactly. With an elephant on the side. And we somehow go back down to Juan Carlos, but there you go. Right then, looking at the final, the only thing that people learn from history is that people don't ever learn anything from history. And this is not for the show... Oh, I say, and I thank you for sending me that picture. And I put some mayonnaise on that one as well. Why don't you do a poll? Okay, thank you very much. For that email. And never mind the Torox, as the saying goes. Right then, 952784000. The poll finally, which is, mayo was nothing to do with the British. It was the occupation by French troops I've said this before. It's the Carthaginians, and I'm sticking to that, and I'm not having anybody say it's the 7 Years' War. It's the Persian Iranians that changed the Khan's army, the Genghis Khan's army. Here you go. We're getting sort of having a punch up over Genghis Khan. It was the Persian Iranians that civilized the Genghis Khan army. The reason they stopped killing was due to the introduction of Persian poetry and arts, and in the end, the language of the court was Persian.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying he was known as being the first eco warrior. I've read this before, and it was just popped into my head.
I think if one of the Mongol hordes was riding me down, I'd just pull out my script and go. I wandered lonely as a fool, and that would be the end of everything.
The Persian Empire was wonderful, magnificent.
Indeed, Darius the Great, etc.
Yes.
Serious. Let's now talk about Xerxes. And the movie 300 is just great fun, but nothing to do. Right, almost out of time. It's been my pleasure and my privilege. Thank you for that. We've done everything well. We always finish on a lighter note. I've decided. Thank you for your calls in, Andres.
Yes, on a lighter note,
yes?
I'm glad to hear that Ronaldo has managed to get his private plane out of Riyadh and gone to Madrid. So it's all people stuck there.
He'll be in Marbella he'll be in Marbella by lunchtime. Andres, thank you very much.
Thank you, Giles.
And Alia, thank you so much.
My pleasure as always.
This programme will be repeated at 6 o'clock. Stephen Ritson is up next.
The views expressed on Viewpoint by invited studio guests and callers do not constitute an opinion endorsed in any way by Talk Radio Europe.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit tre.radio.